Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to guests who are either professionals in the mental health space, those that live with or experience a mental health challenge, or mental health advocates. And I am really excited because today is World Mental Health Day, and I have my good friend Aaron on, and I'm excited because he used to be my chiropractor. I haven't been in forever, but that's another story. But without further ado, I will bring him on. Thank you, Aaron, so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kelly.
Yeah, I know it's been a while since I've seen you, but tell the audience a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, like Kelly said, my name is Dr. Aaron Hancock. I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing for about 12 years now. And at our practice, we don't just do the typical cracking bones that people think about. We specialize in health and wellness from a whole body perspective. So we do offer nutritional stuff if needed. Um, Exercise options if the person is looking for that, and then of course looking at the mental side of things, right? We're mind body spirit, three in one person. So you kind of have to address health from an overall perspective rather than just one. And then of course the specialty working on the nervous system, making sure that that's functioning optimally and allows the rest of the body to physically function well. So yeah, that's what we do.
That's awesome. And I know that is really the big thing that drew me in initially. I mean, years ago, was that it's this overall health. And I think my first experience, because I've gone to chiropractors before and I didn't feel like they were overly helpful at the time. And so when I was able to come over to you, it really was sitting down, having the conversation, looking over x-rays, but then also even when other things popped up, we could still have those conversations. And you offer classes outside of just the chiropractic spot.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that you really focus on the mental wellness of individuals versus just having them go, get adjusted, which sometimes that's what people need, but other times you need more and more of a base.
Well, you look at the average person in America. They're not feeling right. They've got maybe possibly anxiety or depression or a combination of the two. You walk into most medical offices and it's here, take this prescription. Um, there's no checking into what's going on behind the scenes. So much that plays into to mental health, and that needs to be addressed. And that's the problem. You put somebody on a drug. A drug is never a fix, and a drug is never meant to be a long-term solution. Drugs are great for life-saving purposes, but they were never ever meant to be lived on. And that's the problem. I get patients in all the time. They're like, I've been taking this antidepressant for whatever, 10 years, 20 years. That's insane. Um, there's really, to me, the sad thing about these mood altering drugs is there's no scientific study that shows chemical imbalances in the brain. It's like you just tell your doctor, "Oh, I'm feeling tired" or whatever, and boom, all of a sudden you're on this antidepressant. I'm feeling down. You're on an antidepressant. Well, there was no diagnosis, no medical diagnosis to support that, and so really that's malpractice is what that is when you're giving something that you can't really prove is there.
Yeah, I feel like oftentimes you go in to see a doctor, right? And they have maybe 15, 20 minutes to have this conversation about your whole entire life. And then they're throwing prescriptions as a band-aid. And that I feel like is not very helpful, which bringing in the other aspects and talking about the overall wellness. And I know like you did some muscle testing with me at one point in time. And that was really helpful because I already knew that it may be like hormone based, potentially what I was experiencing at that time, which were migraines. But you took that time out of your schedule to do some muscle testing with me. And that's pretty much what you found also was that it was hormonal. And going to my regular doctor, they're like, they couldn't figure anything out other than giving me a bunch of prescriptions. So,
Yeah. Well, and you look at it doesn't help. So the United States and New Zealand are the only two countries that allow advertisements for pharmaceutical, and so the average person, especially someone who is in a bad mental state, having depression, things like that, they tend to sit around the house and watch too much TV, right? And you see all these commercials, and they give you this false hope that, oh, if you just take this drug, you're going to be running on the beach, you're going to be, with your family, enjoying your life, everything's good, and so they go to their doctor expecting that, and so the doctor's hands are kind of tied at that point too, because unless they really want to set aside a long period of time and spend a bunch of time with the patient, which the insurance companies are not going to pay them for, so it's kind of a vicious cycle in that regard.
yeah, absolutely. And I don't mean this to be like about medication. Sometimes medication is helpful for those that need it for a short period of time. But I'm curious, so what really got you into chiropractic? Chiropractic? Chiropractic.
Yeah. Well, and you just said it, like I said, medications are great for short term, for life-saving purposes, things like that, but never meant to be lived on. And so so that's really what got me into chiropractic. My mom was a nurse. I knew I wanted to do something in the medical field. I looked into trauma surgery for a while. I thought that might be, well, long story short, I started hanging out with some medical doctors that I knew, just shadowing them, and they didn't really they didn't seem like they liked their job. They it was just it was that the one told me, he's like, I push pills all day. That's what I do. And he's like, it's not satisfying because I see the same repeat customers in for the same issues. It's not getting to the core cause of the problem.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I mean, I feel like that's the medical world for the most part, but also there are alternatives. And that's why I love having guests like you on here because there are alternatives to just medication or just to your regular doctors or whatever it might be. And chiropractic, why can't I say that word today? Man, I always call it Cairo, the Cairo. It is an alternative way to realign your body and make it function properly, which I feel like some people have not a fear, but they just don't understand it fully because all they think is like you pop a bunch of bones and then you like go on with your life, but there's so much more behind it.
There's tons of science behind the chiropractic adjustment, and very simply stated, your brain controls your entire body, and the way that works is your brain sends that signal down your spinal cord, out through all the spinal nerves to your cells, tissues, and organs. So if your spine is misaligned or shifted out of place, that's interfering with the brain talking to the body. And so what we do is we open up that channel so that your brain can talk to your body better. And there's really, like you said, it's not necessarily a boom one fix, because there can be a lot of other things involved, which is why we look at other parts of the body, but there's nobody that can't benefit from having their brain talking to their body better. That's just science. Nervous system controls the body.
Yeah, absolutely. I know even when I started my initial journey, which was like years and years ago, I had a really like forward head, which was ultimately causing a lot of back problems and or pain, and then so much more just because it was out of alignment, and that brain fog, so many different, it creates so many different symptoms across the board. And once you get realigned, it is amazing. Once your body actually communicates with your brain, how it functions so much better.
Yeah. Well, and there really is a hierarchy of how our health should be handled, right? So our bodies are meant to heal naturally. That's how God made us. That's how we're designed. If you cut your finger, we don't even think twice about, is that going to heal? But yet we take that for granted, because how think about this: how is your body smart enough to know number one, it's got to stop the bleeding, then it's got to send in the repair tissues, and how does it know how to put finger cells there to replace that, rather than like eye cells or heart cells or liver cells or whatever? So our bodies are incredibly smart, but we should always address it from, let's give our body a chance to heal first, naturally. If that doesn't work, well then let's look at nutritional intake, and that may include taking supplements, herbs, homeopathics, things like that, to assist the body. Um, then, if that doesn't work, then we look at drugs, and then last, surgery. And so always start with the least invasive model first.
Yeah, that, I mean, that makes a lot more sense, but I think we go towards the extremes more often because we just want to, whether it be out of pain or be better in our eyes. Some people tend to go to the extremes, but I like the thought process of let's go non-invasive, which I know when you come into your office, you do some exercises, which ultimately get your body ready for the adjustments. Then you go get adjusted, and then you do traction ultimately. But it's like this whole process. It's not just like you go in, get adjusted, and then you leave. It's more, and that's why I love your office more so than any other ones that I've been to, just because it has that holistic approach. So we're starting with the non-invasive, and then if needed, right? Like then you would refer them to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so I definitely work very closely with a handful of medical doctors, neurologists, um, physical therapists, orthopedists, whatever may be needed. But the reason that I love working with these guys is they have the same philosophy. So, if something does need more attention than we can give at my office, I refer them. They get it under control, and then they send the person to me. So then it becomes a maintenance thing, and that we work together on helping people get off of medications that have been on them for a long time, or for a short period of time. Ultimately, those doctors want those patients off medications too. So it's a good relationship there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for those people that maybe don't know too much about chiropractors, can you give a little bit more information? Like, what does it look like? How is this experience? I mean, I know I've kind of said a little bit, but how is the experience coming to you going to help with health and mental health and all those things?
Well, first of all, looking at the body as a whole person approach. Okay, it's impossible, even though I understand, if you have a heart condition, you're going to go to a cardiologist, they're going to look at your heart. Great. But it's impossible to have a heart condition and the rest of your body be functioning at 100%. We are a sum of all our parts. We're not broken down into individual parts. And so when you come in to my office, for example, you fill out paperwork explaining why you're there, first of all. But then when we do the consult with you and the exam, I list, so very common symptom that someone might come into a chiropractor with is headaches or neck pain. Okay. So, okay, great. You're there for your headaches or neck pain, but I go through the full body. I start at the toes, basically. Do you have any numbness and tingling in your toes? Do you have any ankle, knee, or hip problems? Do you have any hip pain? Do you have any menstrual issues? Do you have digestive issues? Whatever. Like I said, I ask all those questions because a person coming in with headaches and neck pain isn't thinking about the pain in their foot or, their menstrual problems or hormone problems. So that's why I want to find out if there are issues, and if there are, then we need to address those issues.
Yeah, it's all related, and you don't think about, oh, my neck pain could be related to my foot problems. And so being able to have somebody that can identify and or ask the right questions, I think is really, really important.
Well, speaking specifically about mental health, so many things can cause problems in mental health. You could have a thyroid issue. Thyroid issues can cause the brain fog, the fatigue, the depression. You may have adrenal dysfunction. Your adrenal glands help you cope with stress, and adrenal glands can mimic thyroid issues. So we got to look at that. Nutritionally, not only are there foods that can trigger mood changes, but there's also foods that can heal mental issues as well, make the person feel overall better. And there's so much science now about gut health. A lot of talk all around about gut health. Well, the latest science has shown that we actually have like a second brain in our gut. And that's what gives us, if you walk into a situation where things just don't feel quite right, you get that, they call it the gut feeling. You should probably listen to that, because 99% of the time it's right. But because we have that second brain in our gut, if our gut is unhealthy due to possible nutritional deficiencies, or too many medications that we've taken over time, especially like antibiotics that can really interfere with the normal gut function. Well, if that's an unhealthy gut is going to affect the way we feel 100% of the time. And so that's where we dig into the nutritional stuff. We do offer nutritional testing as well, blood, saliva, urine testing, to see if there's any food sensitivities. And then we would, of course, sit down and have a consult over that, foods that need to be avoided, foods that need to be eaten to possibly address these issues, things like that.
Wow. Yeah, that can be huge also just in itself. I mean, nutrition, exercise, all of the things, but really I know personally that was my main thing, was my gut health was not the best, and that contributed, in addition to the hormones, for my migraines. And ever since I've really been addressing both of those two things, I haven't had very many migraines. And I love that you pointed that out, because a lot of times I know even with my NLP practice, we talk about that you have three minds. It's your brain, your heart, and your gut. And so connecting all of those are really important. And yeah, we have three brains.
Yeah, and you said too, hormones are a huge trigger with the way we feel overall. Um, so and that can be affected by gut health as well. Um, but even just hormonal issue, you look at um, a big majority of the population that has problems with depression, and it is middle-aged women.
Mm.
Uh, and well, what's happening in a middle-aged woman? They're menopausal or premenopausal, and I mean their hormones are all over the place, like basically going back to like teenage years, pretty much at that point. And so the hormonal issues definitely need to be addressed to make sure the person's feeling the way they should, so that they're clear-headed and can function and perform their daily activities.
Yeah, I love so one of my guests last month, I think it was, her and I were talking about like premenopause and all of that because she's currently going through that and I'm approaching the years of potentially going through that, but it's a real, I mean, the brain fog, everything that starts coming back, you're like, man, going through all this again. So I think it's important to have the conversations to address those challenges.
Yeah, and that's why with the like I mentioned the food testing, but we also have a female specific and male specific hormone tests as well that we can address with different supplementation and related. Um, but going back to our current system, it's really sad to me because we have about a 20% pediatric practice as well. See a lot of kids there, but man, almost every teenage girl that comes in is on birth control pills, and not for birth control specifically. It's they have a few menstrual cramps and they go to the doctor and right away they're put on birth control pills. Well, what happens is then their bodies are never allowed to even learn how to regulate the hormones because they're being fed all these synthetic hormones from the time that they're in their teenage years, and that really can set up problems for later on in life, as far as other hormone issues and potentially even female related cancers, things like that.
I didn't even think about that because there are even young women go to the doctor because they're bleeding excessively or certain things like that because the body is not regulating the hormones currently. So yeah, they immediately put them on birth control trying to regulate the hormones, and I didn't even think of it from that aspect. So that's really useful knowledge. If anybody has a youth out there, and I usually always say is like advocate, make sure that you're advocating properly for yourself or for others.
Well, and look at the standard American diet, and teenagers are some of the worst. If they're eating inflammatory diets, there's no way their hormones are going to be doing what they're supposed to.
That is very true too. Like there's so many aspects of the human body in general, and we've gotten as a society in such a I don't know if I'd call it a rut, but that's what's coming to my head of like fast food and eating out or just getting things quickly versus really looking at what we're putting into our bodies.
Yeah,
And
not reading labels. That's the key. Is everyone needs to learn how to read a label, and a real quick, easy kind of a label hack. If you don't know what an ingredient is, or it's got a long list of ingredients, it's probably not good. Something you should be putting in your body.
there you go. See, you got a tip. Like, read labels. And if you don't know what it is and you have to look it up, which I've done before, I'm like, what is this thing? Probably just put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about, well, tell the audience because I already know, but where can people find you or where can they come see you?
I'm in Aurora. We're on Parker Road and Bellevue. Discover Health and Wellness Aurora is the name of our practice. You can look my website up at Aurora, Colorado, Chiro.com. Oh, look at that.
Right there.
Yeah, Aurora, Colorado, Chiro.com. But yeah, we of course I'd love to help everybody. I'd love to see you. But if you're not close to me, I've got a great network of doctors all around the city, the state, even the country, that we can get you plugged into. So don't if you are watching this and you live out of state or whatever, feel free to reach out. We'd love to help you get plugged into somebody near you that's going to take a whole body approach with you as well.
Yeah. And I mean the whole body approach is really important. So people that may potentially have had a bad experience in the past, and or maybe they've never been to a chiropractor and they want to learn more about it, definitely reach out. And if, again, you're not in Aurora, Colorado, but you need somebody in your area, reach out to Aaron and his team, and they can, and this is the website right below here, but they can get you into somebody who will take that holistic approach, because it is just so important. Any tips or tricks or thoughts that you want to throw out?
Tips, tricks, well, I just say this, and I said it earlier, we really are more than just our physical bodies. We're mind, body, and spirit. Really, we're actually spiritual beings walking in a physical world right now, if you really look at the body. So think about that. Next time you have something going on that doesn't feel quite your body, or some symptoms that you may be experiencing, even though depression, anxiety, specific things like that aren't fun, or physical symptoms, headaches, heart disease, whatever, symptoms are a good thing, because they're your body warning you that something's going on, and you need to get it looked at. So don't ignore it, number one. But like I said, think about that next time you feel something going on. It's like, ask yourself, why am I having these issues? And then get to somebody who can help you if you can't figure that out yourself. Because like I said, there's a lot of options, and much healthier options than just going straight to a medication.
Yeah, definitely. And if you haven't ever been to a chiropractor before, I would highly recommend, if you're in Aurora, going over to Discover Health and Wellness. Or, I mean, again, we can get you connected to somebody that is going to look at the whole body versus just the symptom or whatever's happening. But I appreciate you so much coming on, and I promise I'm going to come back. I just, lots of things happening, but this is where you can find more information at auroracolorado.chiro.com. And I just really appreciate you coming on and sharing what chiropractic can do for people, and how the whole body approach can be much more successful and helpful than just looking at one thing or another.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelli. I appreciate you having me. And like I said, to anybody watching, feel free to reach out. There's no charge, for a quick consultation, or even to get you, hooked up with an office near you. Love being able to do that. And like I said, we all need to work together to make sure that people are functioning as healthy as possible. Because you look at all the problems in the world, and it ultimately boils down to one thing. People just are not working together. Too many differences, too much diversity. And you look at the way people feel. Most people are sick and tired, right? And when you're sick and tired, you don't feel like being nice to people. You don't feel like giving it 100% at your job, whatever. So that's why we're here doing what we do, is ultimately just to make sure that you're being the best version of, so that reach out and help others.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and I will see you soon, I promise.
Kelli, thank you.
All right, y'all. That was another amazing episode of Mental Health Mondays. As a reminder, I forgot to say it at the beginning, but if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit down that subscribe button. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, make sure you're following us. Most likely you are if you're watching this, but you can also share it with anybody else who you think this will be helpful. And again, we do this every single Monday. And today we came on a little bit later, but normally it's at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we stream out to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So feel free to share this if you know anybody that could benefit from these resources. That's why we do what we do. And we talk to professionals in the mental health space, advocates of mental health, and those that live with or experience a mental health challenge. And although you may just think chiropractors are bone crackers and do certain things, you can really look at it from an overall whole body wellness, which is really, really important. So if you don't know where to go, again, it is Aurora, Colorado, Chiro.com that you can find out more information about Aaron and his team and discover health and wellness. And we'll see you back next week. But make sure that if these are helpful for you, again, BCC Evolution is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we need your help to keep all of our education programs rolling. So go become a warrior for mental health. Again, you get one of these cool t-shirts if you sign up for $20 or more per month. And we appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.